Okay, we're going to start reading from the 9th April 2025. That's where I saw that this whole thing is really escalating and is escalating very fast. U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth threatens China and vows to take back the Panama Canal. China did not build the canal. China does not operate the canal, and China will not weaponize this canal. Together, we will take back the canal from China's influence.
China did not build this canal. China does not operate this canal. And China will not weaponize this canal. Together, we will take back the Panama Canal from China's influence. And we will do this along with other capable, like-minded allies and partners.
U.S. President signs executive order officially increasing tariffs on China to 104%. Just in, President Trump says China has ripped us off left and right, but now it is our time to do the ripping.
Right now, China's paying a 104% tariff. Think of it, 104%. Now, it sounds ridiculous, but they charged us for many items 100%, 125%. Many countries have. They've ripped us off left and right. But now it's our turn to do the ripping.
So, U.S. tariffs officially go in effect. That was on the 9th as well of April. So, I'm just going to focus on China and Lesotho. China was on 104%. Lesotho 50%. Now, would you ask yourself why a country with only less than 3 million in population be receiving 50% tariffs? Well, the payoff was Starlink getting the license to operate in Lesotho. If this is not bullying, tell me what it is, because it screams bullying. Because now they are there having their license, and you look at it that most of these things benefit Elon Musk and other billionaires. You see, where does this leave ordinary people of this world? I blame the American citizens for this mess, man. Just in, Japan stock market falls 5%. I'm reading that because I think it has got to do with all that is happening. BRICS, China kickstarts de-dollarization efforts. You see, that's when it gets very, very serious. Just in, China orders its banks to reduce U.S. dollar purchases. Just in, China Premier says we are prepared to deal with uncertainties in response to U.S. tariffs. Breaking, China to impose another 84% tariff on U.S. goods. They are retaliating towards that 104% VAT increase. Tariff. We have our own problems in South Africa of VAT, so I'm bringing this here. Sorry, guys, sorry. And just in, China issues risk alert for Chinese tourists traveling to the United States. Just in, Amazon suspends some inventory order from China due to tariffs. Just in, China and Russia are reportedly using Bitcoin to settle certain trade transactions. Breaking, President Trump tariffs imposed on China to 125%. President Trump issues 90-day pause on tariffs. It is very important to note that that pause did not apply to China now, did not apply on China's goods. It just other countries except for China. You see, and at this stage I realize, okay, the US has officially isolated their enemy, their target. It is there for everyone to see. And now we're waiting to see how their target responds to all this. And China is not taking this sleeping child. Just in, 3.5 trillion added to the U.S. stock market after President Trump tariffs paused for 90 days. Just in, U.S. Treasury Secretary says that this was President Trump's strategy all along to put China into a bad position. But what I'm asking myself, is it only China that is in a bad position? Is China incapable of coming out of this situation? Because they said they don't care. The US can go if they go. They are only 15% of the market that they have. They say China was there a long time ago before there was the USA. So if the USA is choosing to isolate themselves like that, be my guest. I'm going to share that video clip with you. Hey, guys, China issues travel warning to all citizens visiting the United States. Just in, President Trump says China was to make a deal and is in the process of figuring it out. And China proved that no, we are not on that. Breaking 5.5 trillion added to the US stock market today. Just in, US President Trump offers to talk and meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping to negotiate tariffs. And China has been proving that no, we are not doing that. US President Trump says he plans to meet with Russian President Putin. You see, there's one thing that I've noticed about Donald Trump. He fears this man. If there's any man, this is not love. It's not him loving him. There is no friendship there. He just fears Putin, because I think they have some loose screws, both of them. He doesn't know how the man can react when it's time to really react. Just maybe hey, I wanted to say something, but then again, child, I decided not to. Maybe fears that thing that Russia is notorious for, that they say they use to unalive their enemies. They say it finds whoever you are on this planet, it will find you. I don't know, I'll be talking much on that one. Canadian Prime Minister Carney agreed to negotiate new trade deal with the US President Trump. And it looks like the US is negotiating with these other countries so that eventually it can get to isolate China or minimize the power that China has. That's my view. Please let me know what your view is in the comment section. Just in, China says it's willing to resolve differences with the US through consultation and negotiation. It's very important that they said through consultation and negotiation, not the bullying. They've been complaining about the bullying, and I'm very happy that China is standing up to the US, because this is not the way to go. Just in, Chinese yuan falls to lowest level since 2007. Just in, Chinese sellers on Amazon to hike prices or exit US as tariffs soar, Reuters report. Just in, Russia trolls the US, China, and EU over its trade wars. So you see there, that's the US, European Union, and China, and Russia is there just chilling, having that smoke, man. Yeah, and if you can see, that post is by the Russian embassy in Kenya. Just in, European Union considers plans to purchase more gas from the United States, citing Trump's tariffs pressure. Just in, EU poses tariffs on the US for 90 days and agrees to negotiate a new trade deal. It's very important, though, to notice that the EU is not just licking his behind as kissing his behind, as he said, because they paused the tariffs on US goods because the US has paused tariffs on their side. It's like no one is really backing the US this time around except for Lesotho. I hate that Africa is divided into these smaller countries. It divides the power and the willingness to stand strong. Yeah, I hate it. Just in, China says they will absolutely not let anyone sabotage the international trade rules and multilateral trading systems. Just in, United States tariffs on China now total 145%. White House says things are escalating. China says we don't back down in response to US President Trump's 145 tariffs. Just in, Canada says it will drop tariffs tomorrow if US President Trump drops his. Hey guys, just in, UAE and EU agreed to launch free trade negotiations. Just in, China and European Union in talks to abolish EU tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. Esana. Just in, Xi Jinping fires top Chinese general. I don't know how this is related, but he fired him anyway. Let's just read and pass. If you know if this has got anything to do with what is happening between China and the US, please let me know in the comment section so that I get informed as well. 5 days ago, just in, European Union leaders to travel to Beijing for a summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping in July. Hey, hi guys, life is busy out here. China says it remains open to talks with the United States. Just in, China raises tariffs imposed on United States to 125. Just in, China slams US President Trump and says he is weaponizing tariffs as a tool of bullying. Hey, child, I don't know how Americans gave us this person. The coercion turning itself into a joke. Just in, United States tells China to initiate a call between Xi Jinping and US President Trump. You see, this is the third time that it is the US that is talking about negotiating with China. And they want China to be the one that is initiating all of this, so they look like they are kissing my behind, like Donald Trump said. Yeah. But which president speaks like that in this? Yes, in. Just in, a Russian foreign minister says BRICS is exploring the creation of a new payment platform. See, this is how, you see, I saw that there are certain like trillions that are added to the US stock markets and whatnot, but there must be the damage that goes beyond what we can see because of this whole thing that is happening. The dollar that the US is so weaponizing so much, it creates an environment whereby all the countries that are using the dollar are really, really now pushed into finding alternatives.
Есть возможность формировать независимые от внешнего воздействия платформы платежные, в том числе один из вариантов – это система передачи финансовых сообщений Центрального банка России. Она удобна, ни от каких свифтов она не зависит. Есть целый ряд других инициатив, которые, в частности, рассматриваются в том числе и в рамках БРИКС, где Бразилия предложила, и сейчас такая работа идет, подумать о формировании альтернативных платежных платформ. Я уверен, что страны, даже не входящие в БРИКС, будут иметь доступ к таким механизмам, когда они будут сформированы.
And based on that, how do you see the future of the dollar? If these people succeed, how is the dollar going to look like in the future? 4 days ago, White House says America cannot exist if we continue to enrich and embolden China. China is already emboldened. Too late. Just in, Russian President Putin holds talks with US President Trump's special envoy in Moscow. And this one is 4 days ago as well. India and BRICS country has agreed to negotiate a new trade deal with the United States. India says a win-win deal could be made in the next 90 days. Just in, US President Trump is open to making a new trade deal with China, White House says. And China is like, there, like, no, we're not coming. Hey, guys. Just in, China continues to troll the United States on X. See, Chinese embassy in the US. This is what they put out this. Hey, crazy times we are living in. Chinese President Xi Jinping to visit Vietnam, Malaysia, and Cambodia next week. That was 4 days ago. China says no threat can shake its determination. We stand firm, united, and unbreakable in response to Trump's tariffs. That was 3 days ago. US President Trump exempts smartphones, computers, and chips from new tariffs, including those imported from China. You see now, you could feel the pinch that no, this is actually not one-sided. The effects are felt both sides. China says the United States cannot impose its will on all the other countries in the world. Exactly, when Xi Jinping. China calls on the United States to completely cancel tariffs. US says President Trump has no plans to speak with China's President Xi Jinping about tariff war. But you have been calling... please, please. Yeah. Just in, that was 2 days ago, US President Trump declares no one is getting off the hook for the unfair trade and tariffs, especially China. Just in, still 2 days ago, China suspends exports of certain rare earth minerals and magnets to the US that are crucial for the world's car, semiconductor, and aerospace industries. China's exports increased by 12.4% in March, despite ongoing trade war with the US. European Union agrees to negotiate new trade deal with the United States, President Trump says. Senegal in talks to join BRICS and contribute its resources. Yes, the world is changing. And you see, the thing is, Donald Trump cannot stop this. We are no longer where we were years ago. The entire planet has changed. Just Argentina president agrees to sign a new trade deal with the US after talks with Treasury Secretary. Chinese President Xi Jinping urges Vietnam to oppose Donald Trump's tariff bullying. Just in, Maldives president officially signs the law banning Israelis from entering the country. Yeah, guys, I'm reading that because Israel is the US's baby. Because I feel like the US is playing the parental role on Israel because they're so protective. They're so protective. China holds all deliveries of Boeing jets. Did you hear that? China holds all deliveries of Boeing jets. Guys, this thing is escalating very fast. European Union likely to suspend resolution efforts with China on electric vehicles tariffs amid ongoing talks with the US. Just in, that is 30 hours ago, China says the US President Trump's shameless tariff war will backfire. Just in, President Trump says countries may choose between us or China. You see now? See. Just in, US government bans NVIDIA from selling H2O chips to China. Yeah, guys, sometimes these things that I'm reading. Just in, China, United States plans to use tariff negotiations to pressure U.S. trading partners to limit their dealings with China. Guys, this is when it gets very serious. The United States plans to use tariffs negotiations to pressure U.S. trading partners to limit their dealings with China. See now, it's striking everyone. This is where I'm saying this thing can easily lead us to World War III, because what in the world is going on? Now they are dragging everybody into it. Now that they can see, the US is saying that alone they cannot do this. Now they are trying to force other countries to join them in this. Hong Kong now. Hong Kong suspends postal services for US bound goods. Did you hear that? Just in, Hong Kong suspends postal service for US bound goods. It's getting ugly. It's getting ugly. Just in, China says it's the world's market and a source of opportunities for every country. I concur. You know, the smaller business that I have is being supported by China. I have to be honest. They did not lie. They did not. Just in, China says US tariffs will not change the long-term positive trend in its economy. So, okay, guys, I read these to you so that we are just, if you were not sure what is happening, I just read to you what has been happening since 7 days. See, so that we all have an idea. I read from the BRICS news on X, so that because they report it so well, you get to follow it so well, you get to understand what is happening through that account.